You know what most gardeners get completely wrong about October? They think the growing season is over. But here's the truth nobody talks about. While your neighbors are putting their tools away, you could be planting crops that'll give you fresh harvests straight through winter, and some will even taste better after a frost. I'm about to show you 15 plants you can still get in the ground right now, and 3 of them will actually survive temperatures that would kill tomatoes in seconds. Stick around because number 11 is so hardy, you'll be harvesting it in January while everyone else is buying expensive grocery store produce. Hey there, garden friend. Welcome back to Earthly Gardening. If you're new here, this is where we grow more while spending less, and I'm so glad you found us. We're all about practical, budget-friendly gardening that actually works in the real world, not just in theory. Today we're diving into late October planting, and trust me, this is the video you'll want to save and come back to every single fall. Now, before we dig in, do me a quick favor. If you're serious about extending your harvest season and saving money on groceries this winter, hit that subscribe button right now. It's free, it helps this channel grow, and you'll get notified every time I drop a new money-saving gardening tip. And listen, if just one plant from today's list works for you, come back and drop a comment telling me which one. I read every single comment, and your experiences help other gardeners in our community. All right, let's get growing. Okay, so here's what we're doing today. I'm walking you through 15 vegetables and herbs that you can still plant in late October. And these aren't just maybe they'll survive plants. These are proven performers that will actually thrive when you get them in the ground this late in the season. Now, I need to be honest with you about something. Your exact planting success depends on your climate zone, but here's the beautiful part. Most of what I'm sharing today works for zones 6 through 9, and I'll give you specific tips for colder and warmer areas as we go. The key is understanding that October planting is less about racing against time and more about working with the cooler temperatures. These plants actually want the cold. All right, let's jump into number 1. Plant 1 garlic. First up, we've got garlic, and October is actually the perfect time to plant this. Here's why this works so well. Garlic needs a cold period to develop properly. When you plant cloves now, they establish roots before the ground freezes, then go dormant over winter, and come spring, they shoot up like they've been waiting their whole lives for that moment. Break apart your garlic bulbs into individual cloves, keep the papery skin on, and plant them pointy side up about 2 inches deep and 6 inches apart. You can buy planting garlic from garden centers, or honestly, try organic garlic from your grocery store. I've had great success with both. One bulb will give you maybe 8 to 10 cloves, and each clove becomes a full bulb next summer. That's like turning $1 into $8. You're basically printing money in your garden bed. Cover them with mulch, forget about them all winter, and thank yourself next July. Plant 2 broad beans. Next, we have broad beans, and if you've never grown these, you're missing out on one of the toughest vegetables out there. These things laugh at frost. Seriously, they can handle temperatures down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit once established. Plant them about 2 inches deep and 8 inches apart in well-drained soil. They don't need fancy fertilizer because, here's the cool part, they actually add nitrogen to your soil. They're like little fertilizer factories. In warmer zones, you'll harvest in early spring. In colder areas, they'll sit tight through winter and take off in March. The beans taste incredible, fresh or dried, and the plants themselves make your soil better for whatever you plant next. It's a complete win. Plant 3 spinach. Number 3 is spinach, and this is where October planting really shines. Spinach seed actually germinates better in cool soil than warm soil. In hot summer temperatures, spinach seeds can go dormant, but in October, they pop up beautifully. Scatter seeds thinly in rows about 12 inches apart. Cover lightly with soil. Keep them moist, and you'll see sprouts in about a week. The secret with fall spinach is that it grows slowly through the cold months, which means the leaves stay tender and sweet instead of turning bitter like summer spinach does. You can start harvesting outer leaves in about 6 weeks, and the plant just keeps producing. In milder climates, you'll harvest all winter. In colder zones, it'll slow down but survive under mulch or a simple row cover, then bounce back strong in early spring. Plant 4 winter lettuce. Let's talk about lettuce, specifically cold-hardy varieties like Winter Density or Arctic King. Regular lettuce varieties will struggle, But winter types are bred for exactly this situation. Sow seeds about a quarter-inch deep in rows or scatter them in blocks. They'll germinate in cool soil, no problem. Here's the trick. These varieties grow a tight, compact head that protects the inner leaves from frost damage. You get fresh salad greens in November, December, and depending on your zone, sometimes even into January. When you're paying $5 for a container of mixed greens at the store, and you're walking outside to cut your own, that's when this whole October planting thing really hits differently. Plus, cold weather makes lettuce taste sweeter. It's just better in every way. Plant 5 kale. Number 5 is kale, and honestly, kale in October is almost easier than kale in spring. This plant is built for cold weather. Light frost actually improves the flavor by converting starches to sugars. You can direct sow seeds or transplant seedlings if you want a head start. Space them about 12 to 18 inches apart because these plants get big. Kale will produce leaves continuously through winter in most climates, and even if the tops freeze solid in harsh cold, the plant usually survives and regrows from the base. I've had kale plants survive under snow, thaw out, and keep growing like nothing happened. It's almost impossible to kill. You get vitamins, minerals, and bragging rights all winter long. Throw some mulch around the base, and you're basically set until spring. Hey, quick pause. If you're getting value from this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help more gardeners find this information, and honestly, it tells me you want more content like this. Also, drop a comment right now and tell me, what's the latest you've ever planted something that actually worked? I want to hear your October planting success stories or even your failures because we all learn from both. Alright, back to the list. Plant 6, Arugula. Number 6 is Arugula, and if you've only ever had store-bought Arugula, you're in for a revelation. Homegrown Arugula is peppery, fresh, and so much more flavorful. This seed germinates fast in cool weather, sometimes in just 3 to 5 days. Sow it thin, about half an inch apart in rows, and barely cover the seeds. You can start harvesting baby leaves in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And here's the best part. Arugula that grows in hot weather bolts and turns super spicy and bitter, but fall and winter arugula stays mild and perfect. It keeps producing as long as temperatures stay above hard freezing. In zones 7 and warmer, you'll harvest all winter. Colder zones can use row covers or cold frames to extend that harvest even further. Plant 7, Cilantro. Let's talk about cilantro, because if you've ever tried to grow this in summer, you know it bolts faster than you can say, fresh salsa. October is cilantro's favorite time. Plant seeds about a quarter to half-inch deep and space them a few inches apart. Cilantro actually prefers cooler temperatures and will grow steadily through fall and winter in mild climates. Even in colder areas, it establishes well before a hard freeze and then comes back strong in early spring. The flavor is more intense when grown in cool weather, and it doesn't have that soapy taste that some summer cilantro develops. You want fresh cilantro for tacos, curries, and soups all winter? Plant it now. Your future self will thank you every single time you walk outside and snip some fresh leaves. Plant 8, Parsley. Number 8 is parsley, and most people don't realize this is technically a biennial that's incredibly cold-hardy. You plant it now, and it'll produce fresh leaves all through winter in many climates. Parsley seeds are notoriously slow to germinate, sometimes taking 3 weeks, so be patient. Soak seeds overnight in warm water before planting to speed things up. Plant them about a quarter-inch deep and thin to 6 inches apart once they sprout. The plants will grow slowly through fall, go semi-dormant in the coldest months, and then explode with fresh growth in early spring before eventually flowering in their second year. But that means months and months of fresh parsley, and if you've ever compared fresh parsley to the dried stuff in a jar, you know there's no competition. This is one of those plants where a little patience now pays off for a really long time. Plant 9, onion sets. Here's number 9, and it's a sneaky good one. Onion sets. These are small, immature onion bulbs, and when you plant them in October, they establish roots before winter and then jump ahead of spring-planted onions. Push the sets into the soil so just the tip is showing. Space them about 4 to 6 inches apart, and that's it. They sit there all winter doing underground work, and come spring, they're already growing while everyone else is just starting. You'll harvest full-size onions weeks earlier than spring planting would allow. In colder climates, mulch heavily to protect them. In milder areas, they might even send up green tops you can harvest as scallions through winter. It's one of those set-it-and-forget-it plants that makes you look like a gardening genius come May. Plant 10 radishes. Number 10 is radishes, and these might be the most satisfying October crop because they're so fast. We're talking harvest in 4 to 6 weeks even in cool weather. Sow seeds directly about half an inch deep and 1 inch apart. Radishes actually prefer cool weather because hot temperatures make them woody and overly spicy. Fall radishes are crisp, mild, and perfect. You can succession plant them every 2 weeks through October and into November for continuous harvests. Kids love growing radishes because they see results so quickly, and honestly, adults love them for the same reason. There's something deeply satisfying about pulling a fresh radish from cold soil when conventional wisdom says nothing should be growing. It just hits differently. Plant 11 Mâche, corn salad. Alright, number 11 is the one I teased at the beginning. Mâche, also called corn salad or lamb's lettuce. This plant is absolutely insane with cold tolerance. It can survive temperatures down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not common in grocery stores, which means most people have never tried it, but it has this mild, slightly nutty flavor that's incredible in salads. Sow seeds in late October, barely cover them, and they'll germinate slowly over the next few weeks. The plants form small rosettes of leaves that you harvest whole or pick leaf by leaf. This is one of those crops that makes you feel like a professional gardener because you're growing something most people have never heard of, and you're harvesting it in the dead of winter. It's also expensive when you can find it in specialty stores, so growing it yourself is a major money saver. Plant 12 turnips. Number 12 is turnips, and here's why these are brilliant for October. You get 2 crops from 1 planting. You get the greens and the roots. Plant seeds about half an inch deep and 3 inches apart. The greens are ready to harvest in about a month, and they're loaded with nutrients. The roots take about 2 months to mature, and cold weather makes them sweeter and less bitter than spring turnips. Even if a hard freeze comes, turnips store well in the ground under mulch. You can literally leave them there and dig them up as needed through winter. In-ground storage, fresh vegetables, no electricity required. Our grandparents knew what they were doing with turnips, and we're just rediscovering that wisdom. Plant 13 chives. Lucky number 13 is chives, and these are technically a perennial herb, which means plant them once and they come back year after year. October is actually a great time to establish them. You can plant seeds or divide existing clumps if you have them. Space them about 6 inches apart. They'll establish roots now, go dormant over winter in cold areas, and come back strong in spring. In milder climates, you can harvest chive leaves all winter long. They're perfect for adding fresh flavor to soups, baked potatoes, eggs, and basically anything that needs a mild onion taste. Plus, they produce beautiful purple flowers in spring that are edible and look amazing in the garden. Once established, chives are nearly impossible to kill and they'll multiply over the years. It's one of those plant it and benefit forever situations. Plant 14 fava beans. Number 14 is fava beans, which are similar to broad beans but deserve their own mention. These are incredibly cold-hardy and can overwinter even in Zone 6 with some protection. Plant them 2 inches deep and 6 to 8 inches apart. Like broad beans, they fix nitrogen in the soil, which means they're improving your garden while they grow. The beans themselves are delicious and meaty, great for soups and stews, and the plants grow tall and beautiful. In late winter or early spring, depending on your zone, you'll harvest pounds of beans from plants that sat quietly through the worst weather. They're also a traditional Mediterranean crop, so if you're into cooking authentic Italian or Middle Eastern dishes, these fresh beans are going to elevate your food in ways dried beans just can't. Plant 15 Claytonia, winter purslane. Last one, number 15. Claytonia, also called winter purslane or miner's lettuce. This is another one of those uncommon plants that makes you look like a garden expert. It's incredibly cold tolerant, has mild, slightly tangy leaves that are perfect in salads, and it self-seeds, which means plant it once and it'll come back on its own for years. Scatter seeds in late October, barely cover them, and let them do their thing. The plants form small rosettes and can be harvested all winter in most climates. It's high in vitamin C and omega-3 fatty acids, and historically, it was eaten by miners during the California gold rush to prevent scurvy. It's tough, nutritious, and basically takes care of itself. This is the kind of plant that grows in the forgotten corners of your garden and surprises you with fresh greens when you need them most. Alright, before we wrap up, I want to give you a few critical tips that'll make the difference between success and disappointment with October planting. First, soil temperature matters more than air temperature. If your soil is still above 40 degrees, most of these seeds will germinate just fine. Below that, you might need to wait for spring or use protection like row covers or cold frames. Second, mulch is your secret weapon. Once your seeds germinate and establish, put down 2 to 3 inches of straw, shredded leaves, or grass clippings around the plants. This regulates soil temperature, retains moisture, and protects roots from freeze-thaw cycles that can heave plants right out of the ground. Third, water wisely. Your October plants need moisture to establish, but they don't need as much as summer crops. Water deeply when you plant, then only as needed. Overwatering in cold weather leads to rot and disease. Fourth, consider protection. Simple row covers, plastic tunnels, or even old windows propped over your beds can extend your growing season by weeks or even months. You don't need fancy, expensive equipment. Work with what you have. And finally, don't overthink this. The worst thing that can happen is a few dollars worth of seeds don't germinate. The best thing that can happen is fresh vegetables all winter and a garden that's already established when spring arrives. The risk-reward ratio is heavily in your favor. So there you have it, 15 vegetables and herbs you can still plant in late October. Some of these will give you harvests this year, some will overwinter and produce in spring, and all of them will save you money and give you better food than anything you'll find at a grocery store. Now, here's what I want you to do. Pick 3 from this list and get them in the ground this week. Don't try all 15 if you're just starting out. Pick 3, learn how they work in your specific climate, and expand from there. And listen, when you get that first harvest in November or December or January, come back to this video and leave a comment telling me what worked. I'm serious. Your success stories inspire other gardeners, and they inspire me to keep making these videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join our community of gardeners who are growing more and spending less. Check out the video description for links to my other fall planting guides, and I'll see you in the next one. Now get out there and get planting. Your winter garden is waiting.